Okay, to set up your Zoom meeting so that it's very difficult to Zoom bomb, you're going to need to set up your account settings. And for that, you need to go to the Zoom website. So up here in the web browser, you're going to type zoom.us. Once you get there, you're going to need to sign in. I hope you have a Zoom account already. You're going to need one if you don't. I like to sign in with Google. And you'll find yourself on a page with a lot of meetings. I'm going to go down here to account management and then account settings. And what you see when you do that is just a plethora of options that some of them don't have anything to do with Zoom bombing, in my opinion, but some of them really need to be set a certain way. So I'm going to start with recording options. So I'm going to go to recording. I record all my meetings. Recording starts by default when the meeting begins. And I record to share with the students that couldn't attend and also to protect myself and the students. So for local recording, I do not give the participants permission to record locally. So I have that option checked off, but I turn that on, local recording. And I think I'd actually like to set that to always on. Then, so that I don't have too much to manage when I start my meetings, I know I'm going to be recording anyway. So I set automatic recording on, and I record on my local computer. There's another option for recording to the cloud, but I don't use it because my hard drive's pretty good. And surprise, I don't trust technology. That's just me, not a trusting soul. So you can see if I press lock, I can't modify them from a meeting, these settings, and that's what I want. So here in recording, those are the two options I want to change. I'm going to go to meeting now. There are quite a number of meeting settings that I think need to be set a certain way to avoid Zoom bombing. So there's an enormous list. First, host video, participants video. I never allow video sharing by me, the host, the teacher, or by my students, the participants, because everything's recorded. I don't think you should allow anyone to share personal information via video. So I don't start the meeting with my video on. I'm gonna lock that. And participants video, I don't allow them to start it with it on, and I lock that too. Okay. Next option I think is important to set, join before host. I think you should not allow students to join before you get into the meeting. Instead, you need to start the meeting 5 minutes early and greet them as you allow them to enter from the waiting room. So I lock that. There are just a ton of settings that have to do with passwords. Here's my basic thought about passwords. I feel it will discourage student participation by requiring them to input a meeting ID and a password. Some of them have difficulty negotiating that hurdle. So I know that my sharing settings are on lockdown, and I only admit students with names that I know from the waiting room. So I feel comfortable giving them a link that takes them straight to the waiting room of the meeting. Other people feel maybe that that's not something that they want to do. That's the way I do it. So I set most of the password options on, and then I embed the password in the meeting link that I provide on my Google Classroom website. So these are the settings that I have used. I'll just let you take a look at them. You can freeze the video if you want to. This one I think is really important. This is what I was talking about. It'll embed the meeting password in the link that you give the students. And I'm comfortable with them doing that and not inputting the meeting ID and the password. You're going to have to make the call on that one. Okay. Moving right along. I mute our participants upon entry because I don't want them to start talking to each other right away. It's possible that you might choose in the meeting to unmute them as they enter or unmute all of them at once. But when they enter the meeting, I want them to be muted. And I lock that because that's something that I always want to happen. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is chat. There we go. This setting, chat, I leave this on. If I turn it off, there is no chat. I can't chat, the students can't chat. I want to be able to chat with everybody or privately with individuals. And I want to have the students chat privately with me. So I leave this on so that can happen. And when I start my meeting 5 minutes early, the first thing I do is to set a meeting option in the meeting to allow participants to chat with the host only and not with everyone. That way they can use the chat to ask questions and only I can see them. They cannot chat with one another. There's another setting for that. And it's not possible if you turn chat off here. So I do not allow the students to private chat. That seems pretty obvious as a bad idea. I do autosave the chats because in my meeting recordings, the chat doesn't appear. And I would like to have a record of what the chat content was, so I save it. About the little chime feature that plays when someone enters or leaves, I don't have a problem with it because my meetings are not huge. I have a manageable number of participants, not 50 or 100, so I don't mind a chime when they enter, but people who host really large meetings probably wouldn't want that. File transfer. Should you allow students to share files in an in-meeting chat? Maybe with you, but I don't see a point to it, so I don't do it. If you turned it on and you had them chat only with you, I guess that wouldn't be a problem. I definitely wouldn't let them share a file to everybody through chat. Let's see, what else? Co-host. I don't see a reason for it. I don't want to accidentally give somebody else the same in-meeting controls as I have, so I have that turned off. I have certain things on, like polling and that kind of thing, show meeting toolbar just because I like it. It doesn't have anything to do with the with Zoom bombing though. Sorry, I'll stick to Zoom bombing. Screen sharing, big Zoom bombing topic. I do want to share my own screen, so I have it on. I don't have it locked, but I do have it on. I might be fine with locking it in this setting. My default is though to have it on and to allow only myself, the teacher, to share so that I can show the student something. Maybe I want to cast the view from my cell phone, which is on a stand facing down at the table, and I can write on the notes so they can see what I'm doing. I may want to share, but in general, I don't want the participants to share. For a class like computer programming, I do like them to share their computer code so we can talk about it. But for Algebra 1 and some of the other topics I teach, there isn't a very good reason to allow students to share content, in my opinion. And I think it's dangerous because then Zoom bombing can occur. So this is my default setting. If you want to set it up so that all participants can share, you can check that. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? I like to be able to interrupt people, so I probably would always keep that setting the same. But in general, this is my default. All right. Next setting I want to talk about is disable desktop screen share for users. It says if you have this clicked, you're only allowing sharing of selected applications. Well, I don't allow screen sharing except by myself in general. So I don't think I want to set this because if I have this set, on, then I can't share my own screen. I have to share an application, and I don't want this. Annotation, whiteboard. I like to use annotation. I do not know of a way to allow only me to use the annotation tools when someone's sharing and no one else. So you may get kids who try them out. If it's a big problem, you may not be able to do this. Same comment about using the whiteboard. I don't think there's a way to have only you use the whiteboard. Could be wrong about this, but I'm not aware of one. So I keep it off because I don't want the kids to share a whiteboard. Remote control. Think about it. Do you want to allow others to control the shared content? I doubt it. That seems like a no-brainer. Set this off. It sounds like a mistake. Nonverbal feedback. I like that on. That's the way the students can raise their hands to let you know that they have a question. Now, I let them chat to me, so they ask their questions in chat. But if I'm allowing voice chat, then it's kind of nice to see a hand. I can call on that person. And many students are respectful enough to have that work. Allow removed participants to rejoin. Well, I think you should set this off. If you let them know they're expected to identify themselves by name and someone shows up in the waiting room with an anonymous name like Boom Boom, how many times do you want to deal with that? Just set it off. If they can't read the instructions and follow them, maybe they can watch the video recording when you post it on your website. And allow participants to rename themselves? Never. A little bit more. Far end camera control. Let's see here. Yeah, allow another user to take control of your camera during a meeting. Sounds like a bad idea, doesn't it? Turn that off. Waiting room. This is very important. You always, always, absolutely want to have a waiting room. You should turn it on and lock it. And I think you should put all the participants in the waiting room. There's like a separate section when you press manage participants. There's a separate section called the waiting room when you have this on. You'll see students who have clicked the link appear there, and if you don't recognize them, then you just simply will not admit them into the meeting. So keep the waiting room on all the time. Use it to screen for people who are not identifying themselves. They're probably Zoom bombers. And that's my little video. I hope it helps.